On this edition of Gameball College Kickoff, we're going to recap the top 4 matchups from Week 5 of the season. Plus, in our second segment, which team do we feel is the most improved team in the nation who could also be a serious threat to win it all. And also, we'll bring you the top 4 matchups in our forecast coming up in Week 6 of the upcoming weekend of the college football season. Stick around. Gameball College Kickoff begins now. What's happening, everyone? Welcome to Gameball College Kickoff, where the football season never ends. I'm Marcus Young, Genius Jenkins.
It's your boy, Michael Riley.
And I'm Luke Hartnett. An early shout out to Joplin, Missouri and Missouri Southern State. We're going to be there for our first Division II campus invasion this Saturday, October 5th. Central Missouri, unbeaten in the top 20. The Mules going to be taking on the Lions in Joplin. It's going to be, like I said, our first Division II campus invasion. I'm thoroughly looking forward to being a part of it.
Let's get it in. All right, and with that being said, we're going to jump into the recap of Week 5. That was the NCAA football season. Starting with Virginia and Notre Dame, we're going to talk about this a little bit further here momentarily, but Notre Dame in impressive fashion in a win over Virginia by a score of 35-20. Once again, we'll get into that here in a second. Auburn, that kid Bo Nix, he is something special. That's all I can say. Bo Nix, once again, impressive. The freshman for Auburn would lead his team to an impressive win over Mississippi State by a score of 56-23. Washington over UCLA by a score of 28. Over USC. The Trojans would go down 28-14. We're going to talk about their next matchup. Also, they have Notre Dame coming up, and we're going to talk about them in a second. And also, the Kansas State Wildcats, unfortunately, would drop this one to the Oklahoma State Cowboys by a score of 26-13. And we'll talk about that here momentarily as well. But we're going to back it up, and we're going to dive back into the game that was Notre Dame and Virginia. Defense definitely was the emphasis for the Fighting Irish. Impressive 8 sacks would be total against the Virginia Cavaliers, including a forced fumble that they returned for an 84-yard touchdown. Luke, I want to swing this to you. How impressed were you with Notre Dame in this win over Virginia?
First half, not really. Virginia had a 17-14 lead there, and I believe the first 4 times Virginia touched the ball in the second half, they were on the plus side of Irish territory. Now, the Notre Dame defense made the plays when they had to, and more importantly, they just made huge capitalizations on said plays. But Virginia, you mentioned the 8 sacks. 8 sacks do take a toll on the rushing total, not the passing total. They changed that about 7 to 10 years or so ago. So Notre Dame limited to Virginia to only 4 yards rushing for the game, the fewest the Notre Dame has given up since 2006. So, like I said, very, very, very impressive Notre Dame defense there, but they didn't really struggle so much at first. I expected Virginia to hang in there and keep it close. I expected Notre Dame to pull away. I didn't expect their defense to pull away in the second half the way they did.
Mike, I'm going to swing this to you. Do you think that Notre Dame made a statement with this win over Virginia?
Well, I wouldn't specify as a statement. It was more like a wake-up call win because, as Luke was alluding to, it was a dogfight in the first half. Virginia was up 17-14 at one point. Then Notre Dame turned on the switch and was more aggressive on defense in the second half, was able to force turnovers, force 3-and-outs. That gave the offense back the ball, and they would just ground and pound and run the clock out. And with that home crowd, home field advantage, that makes a difference. And they feed off of that, and the defense played well. They got a scoop to score for the touchdown, and they was pressure. They was able to stop the run. It was also get a lot of sacks on the quarterback. So overall, kudos to the head coach for making a second half adjustment to get the win like they're supposed to, but they still got a lot of cleanup to do. But the first half was not Notre Dame football.
All right, big win for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Once again, that defense was outstanding, like you guys alluded to in that second half.
Hey, it was a non-conference loss for Virginia. They still, to me, look like the class of their division in the ACC. If they don't play Clemson in the ACC championship, I'd be, I don't want to say shocked because it is a balanced division, but Virginia is, I think at this point, still the clear favorite.
All right, and that's going to take us to Kansas State and Oklahoma State. 26-13 once again was that score there. Quarterback Skylar Thompson couldn't really get it going. Only 11 completions for 100, I believe it's 18 yards without a touchdown in that game. Mike, I'm going to swing this to you. How were the Cowboys able to stop Kansas State offensively?
Simple. Smash mouth football and good defense. The running back had almost 300 yards rushing.
Chuba Hubbard.
Man, he was going everywhere, shooting out the cannon one way, shooting out the cannon in the middle, another way through the B gap. He was just all over the place, making plays. Oklahoma State is starting going back to the old school formula offense with the I formations and the fullback tight and just running up the gut and play physical football instead of the air raid offense like they once accustomed to, and which I like. I like the pro style offense better than air raid, but that's another time for another day. But they went back to the old school formations, just play good offensively, running the ball very effectively, and defense, they were just getting after Kansas State. Overall, it was very physical football that Oklahoma State went back to after they lost a close game to Texas. They knew who we were. There's like, we got to establish our running game and play physical defense, and that's what they did. There was some delays during the game because of the weather and the storm there where it happened, but Oklahoma State was just running wild on Kansas State defense. I ain't never seen Kansas State almost give up over 300 yards rushing to Oklahoma, to anybody, period, longer. I've been watching college football. And K-State definitely got some adjustments to do on defense, especially giving up a lot of rushing yards.
All right, Mike, Luke, I'm going to swing this to you. How do you feel like Oklahoma State was able to hand K-State their first loss?
I mean, the reality is Oklahoma State's probably the third best team in the Big 12. I mean, you look at the K-State schedule, they get Baylor at home, they get TCU at home after a bye. They get Iowa State at home for senior day for them there. They're kind of that second tier, those three teams there, as well as K-State. The reality is Kansas State will probably lose to Oklahoma, even though they get them at home. They will probably lose at Texas. So they still have a legit shot at a 9-3 regular season. They can still get 10 wins at the bowl there. Need to leave the ball to bounce away a lot. But the thing about Kansas State is it was announced right before kickoff, and I don't know how I didn't hear about this beforehand because Malik Knowles, he's the one who took the kickoff back 100 yards against Mississippi State to really get momentum back in K-State's favor at Starkville there. He didn't make the trip due to an injury that I'm still not even sure what the injury was or the severity of it. Is he playing against Baylor? I don't know. But you look at K-State, they had, props to Chuba Hubbard. That guy, he was going to get his no matter what. But, the K-State offense, they just couldn't stay on the field. I think you saw that K-State defense kind of wear down the second half. They kind of had, like Mike said, because of the lightning delay, a second halftime. But, and I don't know if it's because he got a new coach or what the deal is, but this K-State offense, it's kind of what could have been. They lost Alex Barnes, the early entry to the draft. He was at least by K-State measures, the top tier running back. They lost Isaiah Zuber as a transfer to Mississippi State. He was big in the special teams for them last year. They lost Hunter Rison after about 2 or 3 weeks after the spring game due to a domestic situation there. So you pair those three with multi-dimensional Skylar Thompson at quarterback, 5 senior offensive linemen, and the aforementioned Malik Knowles. And I don't think we'll ever see what K-State could have truly been this year. I hope Knowles is okay. I hope he plays against Baylor and every other game for that matter this year. And and the K-State defense, kind of the thing that's always been problem, for lack of a better term, their starting defense has always been top 15, top 20. They just don't have the same kind of depth that the quote-unquote power programs do. So when they start to get worn down in the second half, when they start to lose guys to injury later in the season, their backups just never have been that good to just step. They've always been about player development, getting better from freshman to sophomore to junior, having upperclassmen, stick in there, step up and get the job done. And once they start, getting worn out, losing bodies throughout the year, the backups just never have been there for them.
Kansas State once again taking their first loss against Oklahoma State. And that's going to do it for our first segment. Coming up, we're going to talk about which team that we feel is the most improved and could be a serious threat to win it all. Stick around. We're just getting started right here on Gameball College Kickoff. What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to Gameball College Kickoff. Now, in this second segment, we're going to talk about which team that we feel is the most improved and can also be a serious threat to win it all. Luke, we're going to start with you. Which team do you feel like this season has been the most improved?
We're going to talk about them in our third segment, but I like what Iowa's doing there. I think that they're going to. I haven't checked the schedule, moving forward much past this week, but I think Iowa and Wisconsin, if whoever can get, looks to be like a two-horse race in the Big Ten West there. I think if the winner of that game can, they'll more than likely be unbeaten going into the Big Ten championship, particularly Wisconsin. I think if Wisconsin can beat Iowa, there's a better than average chance they'll be unbeaten going into the Big Ten championship game there, where presumably Ohio State will be waiting for them. So we'll kind of wait and see right there. But I think Iowa and Wisconsin are two teams I'm really keeping my eye on.
All right, Mike, which teams stick out to you?
Like he was alluded to, Iowa, Wisconsin, Ohio State. They look like they tremendously improved from last year, especially defense. Oh, my God. Did you see that pass rush Saturday against Nebraska? It was a nightmare for Nebraska's offense to deal with, especially that defensive end. He was projected to go in the top pick of the draft. I forgot his name, but we'll talk about it more. He is a stud. They say why he's a potentially the number one pick. He's getting after it, stopping the run. It's also rushing the passer. He is very versatile. You can put in a 3 technique, 5 technique, and between the A gap and B gap. He can do it all. He's very versatile. And offensively, Justin Fields is doing some damage for that Ohio State offense. He's just putting up crazy, ridiculous numbers. You can also say Oklahoma offensively with Jalen Hurts and all that. And I think Alabama might regret letting him go. Only time will tell. And their defense is still suspect, but offensively they improved. You can also say for Florida, they had dramatic improve from last season. They play Auburn this coming up week. But the team that I say who is mostly improved and has a potential to win it all is LSU. Because right now, for what I've seen, LSU is balling. Offensively, they are putting up big numbers. This is the best LSU offense I have ever seen. It's better than what Jamarcus Russell and the crew had back in the day offensively. And their defense is still balling. They still got one of the best defenses in the country. If LSU wins the SEC West, wins the SEC tournament, I'm going to say this right here, right now. If they win out the SEC, they're winning the national championship against Clemson. I'm calling out right now because...
Early prediction?
Because what I'm seeing for LSU, they are clicking on all cylinders. The sky is the limit because they got Auburn in a few weeks as well as Alabama in a few weeks. Only time will tell. If they beat those two teams, they're winning a national championship regardless. So I like LSU right now as the most improved team that could potentially win it all.
I think the most top to bottom improved team, they certainly don't have a chance to win it all by any means. They're actually on a 3-game losing streak, believe it or not. But I think the most absolutely improved team from a year ago is North Carolina. The job that Mack Brown has done there. They have wins over South Carolina and Miami. They lost the previous week to Appalachian State, who never seems to get their just. Appalachian State's a good football team, even in the Sun Belt Conference. It used to be the former FCS level where they were winning championships, similar in a fashion that North Dakota State currently is. But yeah, I think we all know about the game about the run for their money they gave Clemson over the weekend there. Mm-hmm. But just even in losing fashion, they just look like a good football team this year. So I'm kind of breaking the question down into a two-part statement. But North Carolina's just leaps and bounds better football team than it was a year ago.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that, and that's where I kind of drew the line right there too. I like LSU just because offensively they're talented. They're extremely talented, and their defense is not too far behind them. And I was also thinking about that as well as North Carolina. And that was an impressive game that they almost got that upset over number one Clemson over the weekend at Chapel Hill. That was an impressive game.
A big-time SEC game that we'll probably talk about it when the time comes. Auburn and LSU, I think the winner of that's going to really be a serious playoff threat.
Totally agree with that one as well. And that's going to do it for our second segment. Coming up, we're going to bring you the top 4 matchups in our forecast to look out for in Week 6 of the college football season. Stick around. You do not want to miss that. Gameball Calls Kickoff will return in a moment. What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to Gameball Calls Kickoff. Now, in our third segment, we're going to bring the top 4 matchups of the college football season, starting with Iowa and Michigan. We know Michigan, there's been a lot of talk of Jim Harbaugh potentially being on the hot seat as a coach. We also know that there was also talk of potentially Urban Meyer. We know he shut down those rumors as far as him being the successor to Jim Harbaugh. We know of that big loss at Wisconsin. Luke, I want to start with you on this one. However, you mentioned Iowa being one of the most improved teams. What do you like about this matchup against the Wolverines?
There's a whole bunch that I like in Iowa's favor here. I guess James Laurinaitis was on a sports radio station here a week or two ago, and he's a former linebacker for Ohio State that played for the Rams amongst other teams in the NFL. So yeah, he kind of knows it. I'm not really sure if he's still what he's up to these days as far as if he's I don't want to say a beat writer, but someone who's still paid to be in the college football game, for lack of a better term. But I guess he's got inside information that the Michigan coaches, like the special teams coach, the defensive coordinators, the linebacker coach, they all just kind of do their own thing. They don't really get together as a unit. They're number one, which I mean, to an extent, I kind of understand that. You want your units to be very, 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 very meticulous. But I guess what kind of rattled me was with Michigan recruiting since Harbaugh's gotten there, they don't really look at any tape. They go to Rivals, they go to Parade, they go to ESPN. They just kind of look for positions and stars on guys, offer them scholarships, and hope they accept. So they just kind of use the Michigan brand as opposed to actually guys who fit the system there. So they got a bunch of. If that's been going on since Harbaugh's got there, how many round pegs into square holes does Michigan have at this point? So. Where, Iowa, they've had Kirk Ferentz since, how long has Ferentz been at Iowa now?
He's been there for a while.
He's one of the longest tenured coaches in college football at this point, especially with Snyder hanging up over the offseason.
Oh, yeah.
So,
plus, a lot of people don't know, excuse me to interrupt, he was with Belichick in the Cleveland Brown days a long time ago with Saban and the crew.
So, outside of home field, Iowa has everything else in their favor going into this one.
All right, I'm going to swing this one to you, Mike. We know that Michigan obviously is kind of having a lot of pressure moving forward. What do you like about this matchup against Iowa?
Well, this is a must-win for Michigan. They want to keep their hopes alive in the Big Ten Conference Championship game, and they want to keep their hopes alive for the college football playoff. Offensively, they got to adapt to their quarterback, Patterson, and what his style of play is. And defense, you got to call something that we never seen before, a little bit wrinkled, would be more aggressive and attack the other offense. Even though you have a win over Rutgers, that's lost to Wisconsin still stinks and how you lost. So if they can find a way to win out, and maybe get into the big championship and win, that would give them some confidence and possibility getting to the college football playoffs. So we have to see about that. The thing about Iowa's defense is they may not be the sexiest names, but they're stout and disciplined. They don't beat themselves. And it comes to show you that discipline and physicality, and you don't beat yourself and don't make a lot of mistakes, they could go a long way. Offensively, they're clicking on all cylinders. And you see why the top 2 tight ends went early in the NFL draft. They produced more tight ends than anybody particularly. And they got some good tight ends in that offense, and they just got to keep it rolling. Overall, I can't wait to see this matchup.
All right, a lot of things on the line between these two teams, most definitely. We're going to go from that to Auburn. Bo Nix and company taking on the Florida Gators. Luke, I want to start with you again first. What do you like about this matchup?
I mean, Auburn, you might remember we had them in our football forecast last week of our home game against Mississippi State. And I remember making the point that, look for them to get started early in the first half. They had 42 points at halftime, so mission accomplished on that. Similar to the Iowa-Michigan game, I like everything about Auburn going into this game except for home field. However, Florida's home field is a little bit more advantageous, if you will, than Michigan these days, if you ask me. Of course, Michigan, as we know, doesn't have Felipe Franks for the rest of the year. Of course, Auburn's got that true freshman Bo Nix coming in as well. First real road test for Auburn. They played Oregon, as you may recall, in Houston or Dallas. State of Texas, one way or another. They've been at home ever since. So, going to be an interesting true road environment for Auburn this one.
All right, Mike, I'm going to swing this on to you. What do you like about the Tigers and the Gators?
Well, it's going to be a dogfight in the first half because both of them have a very talented defense. But offensively, the quarterback's position for Florida, he's going to have a big test against this very good, talented, deep Auburn defense, especially their front seven. They rotate a lot of players, and they always stay fresh. And the moment's not too bright for them. And Bo Nixon, the freshman quarterback, this is his very first true test on the road in a very hostile environment in the swamp in Gainesville, Florida. It's going to be a dogfight, and I cannot wait to watch. This is my opinion, the game of the week to watch.
I agree.
It's going to come down to who's going to win, potentially win it all in the SEC, whoever wins this game.
All right, Auburn and Florida will take us to Texas and West Virginia. Mike, I'm going to swing this one to you first. What do you like about Texas and West Virginia's matchup?
Well, Texas was able to get the win at home over Oklahoma State. Now they got to go into a very hostile environment in West Virginia. The very tall task for Texas. Now their issue is defensively. They're giving up a lot of yards when their players is injured. So can some of the players come back healthy, and can the Texas offense keep it running and be able to get the running game going and get some completions in the passing game and take time off the clock? You just have to be physical. If you can be smart, physical football team, you're able to win this game. Now for West Virginia, defensively, they got a tall task of stopping Texas offense, who's been balling as of lately, especially Sam Elgin, the quarterback. If West Virginia's defense can stop Texas offense, they'll have a chance to win this game.
All right, Luke, I'm going to swing this to you. We, like Mike mentioned, Sam Elgin has been brilliant during the season. What do you like about his contest against West Virginia?
Well, I mean, other than the first two games we talked about already, it's kind of a weak slate for the rest of college football this weekend. So my suspicion is that Texas just comes out, firing on all cylinders. They've had 2 weeks to get ready. This is probably the worst West Virginia team they've had since they used to be in the Big East. I'd be surprised if Sam Ellinger plays the fourth quarter. I'm not expecting much resistance from West Virginia at all in this one.
You never know. Home crowd.
You never know. You never know.
Game.
But and Texas has been kind of wet the bed, in the past. But I don't know. I like this year's Texas team.
All right, Texas and West Virginia. Sam Ellinger continue to make his case for the best quarterback in the country. So we'll see how that game goes. And that's going to take us to the final matchup, and that is Michigan State versus Ohio State. Mike, I want to swing this one to you. What do you think about this matchup?
This ain't the Michigan-Ohio State rivalry. This is something similar to that, but both teams still hate each other. And recruiting has a lot to do with it because they go on their territory and recruit, and they come on this territory and recruit. That's been happening for years and years, going back to when college football very first started. Michigan State's defense. They got one of the best defense in the country. How are you going to stop Justin Fields and the Ohio State offense from scoring points? What you do if you're Michigan State, they got a good coach and he's self-disciplined. You got to keep Justin Fields contained inside the pocket. You can't let him roll out and make plays with his feet. If he makes plays with his feet, there's a potential a big pass play, either big gain or a touchdown, or he takes off for a long touchdown. So the key part is play assignment gap football, containing Justin Fields, and get 3 and outs and turnovers if Michigan State wants to be successful on defense. Now, offensively, they got a tall task against a very good Ohio State defense, especially that pass rush. Man, they better be on their A game. They got to play big physical boy football and able to take time off the ball clock with possession, run the ball effectively, and have 0 mistakes offensively. If you have 0 mistakes and able to run the ball effectively, take time off the clock, and be consistent in the passing game, you might be able to win this game at home. But Ohio State, they're just going to keep doing what they're doing. They ain't going to change offensively, and defense, they're just going to stay aggressive.
All right, a big test for Ohio State coming up against the Spartans. And that's going to take us to the prediction part of the episode, starting with Iowa and Michigan. Luke, who do you like in this matchup?
I'm going to go with Iowa in this one. I think I'm going to go 24-10 in this one. I'd take them by a lot more if it was in Iowa City. But, again, it's basically a foundation versus a non-foundation, if you will. And I just think Iowa's going to get an early lead, look for them to bleed the clock. And I think I expect the Iowa defense to win on first down, often get Michigan behind the sticks, and 24-10 Iowa.
All right, Mike, I'm going to kick this one to you. Do you think Harbaugh and company bounce back?
It's going to be a close game, but I'm going to go with Luke. I'm going to say Iowa wins, but I'm going to say a much closer game. It's going to be about all defenses. But can Michigan's offense able to make that one big splash play to win the game? And I just don't see it happen. So I'll say Iowa will make that critical third down play to get a first down and melt the clock and win the game on the road. It's going to be a dogfight, very close game. So I'm going to say Iowa wins this one 15-10.
Ooh, that's what I said. That is pretty close. So you're definitely thinking this is definitely more of a defensive game.
Yes.
All right. One thing I want to ask you really quickly before I make my prediction. Do you think if the event happened that Michigan were to lose this game, do you think officially that Jim Harbaugh would actually be on the hot seat and his tenure at Michigan could be on the line if he loses this game?
It could be, and it will be.
Yeah, he's on the hot seat even if they win. They still got Penn State, Michigan State, and Ohio State the rest of the way.
So it doesn't get any easier. That's tough. For me, I want to say Michigan, but I just think Iowa just has too much offensively. Michigan is, I don't know. They're following them this season. I'm just not really sold on them. I think they've been really inconsistent this year. They're definitely not what I expected them to be. I thought they've been a lot better this year. So I'm gonna go Iowa wins. I'm gonna say 28-14 is going to be my score.
October 26th, Michigan has a home game against Notre Dame as well, non-conference. But that's just one more for them to get that seat a little bit warmer.
All right, let's see what happens with Jim Harbaugh and company. Second matchup, Mike, I'll swing this on to you. Who you like between Auburn and Florida?
I like Auburn in a hostile environment. I just trust their defense more. And I don't see Florida's offense making enough plays because Auburn's defense has depth everywhere. They rotate guys in the front seven and the secondary to keep their legs fresh. And I like how they rotate, and offensively they know who they are. They can run the ball effectively and pass the ball effectively as well. So I'm looking for big things for Auburn. I just don't see it happening for Florida. They lost their quarterback for a year, and that hurt them. And Auburn's defense is going to make more plays. So I'm going to say Auburn get this win on the road. I'm going to say 25-10, Auburn gets it done.
All right, Luke, I'm swinging this to you. You riding the Bo Nix train?
This is an NFL game right here. I think the one thing that sets the SEC apart from any other conference is all the future pros who get on the defensive side of the ball. So I'm expecting a very NFL style played here. Florida at home, going to be in that Florida heat. Of course, Auburn's in Alabama, so it's not. I mean, being in the South isn't really something new to them. Southern heat and whatever else. But no, I mean, I'm kind of rusty. Even with a backup quarterback, I like Dan Mullen at Florida a lot. I like him a whole lot. I think he keeps the Gators in it. He'll have his team ready to play. I think Auburn just wiggles one out 17-13, War Eagle.
I'm still riding that Bo Nix train. I'm going to say Auburn wins this one. I'm going to say a score of, I'm going to say 21-14. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter in this one for myself. Third matchup, Luke, I'm swinging this one to you. Longhorns or Mountaineers, who you got?
So I'm going to go Texas 44-17. I think they get off to a fast and furious start there. I think we see Sam sit on the bench the fourth quarter with the game well in hand. West Virginia might get a garbage time touchdown. They might even have an early touchdown to take a 7-0 lead or not at 7. But, I mean, too many horns, too much Bevo for Texas.
Mike, do you agree?
I'm not going on the score route that he's going, but I'm going to go a little lesser because it is a home crowdville, and home crowd does play a little bit of advantage, but I'm going to say Texas wins on the road, score of 35-20.
I mean, they put 36 on Oklahoma State and 38 on LSU while being a losing effort. So, I mean, that Texas offense, they're carrying their weight.
I know that, but I'm just saying home field matters at times.
So definitely neither one of these two thinking trap game for the for the Longhorns. I agree with you as well. I think Sam Elger has just been brilliant. We talked about him a lot last season. I think he continues to make a case for the best quarterback in the country. I'm going to give them a score. I would say 28. I'll say 28-7 on this one. I think they do cool.
Trap game's a perfect term for this too because they play Oklahoma next week. So
back-to-back big matchups. And that's going to take us to the final matchup, Michigan State, Ohio State. Luke, who do you like in this one?
I mean, Michigan State's been bigger underdogs than Ohio State before in the past, both times at Ohio State as well. 1998, they were I think, 24-point underdogs. Joe Germain led Ohio State team that year, and Michigan State, I don't think Michigan State went to a bowl game that year, but they pulled it off. They won the game 28-24, and then more recently with a backup quarterback, they went to Columbus. I believe it's the year Michigan State went to the playoff. And they won like 10-7 or something like that. It was just an absolute grinder. So, and the one thing that Michigan State team and this Michigan State team has a team is D'Antonio. So Michigan State, they're never the most talented team, but they are never scared ever at all. I think the talent gap is a lot closer between Michigan State and Ohio State than it is, say, North Carolina and Clemson. So I'm going to go with Ohio State by a 30-24 count on this one.
I'm going to go with Ohio State as well to win at home. And Justin Fields, he's going to make a few more plays to help his team win. And I like the Michigan State defense, but that Ohio State offense is something else. It's clicking on all cylinders. And their receiving core might be one of the best in the country. Their receivers get good separation. It's coming out between their receivers and Alabama receivers. We don't know, but I like Ohio State to win this one at home against their rivals, and I'm going to say score of 27-14, Ohio State gets it done at home.
All right. I like Ohio State as well. I think Michigan is going to come out strong early and make it an interesting game in the first half, and I think Ohio State will pull away. I'm going to give them a score. I will say give me 35-21. I like them over Michigan State. That's going to do it for this edition of Gameball Calls Kickoffs. Next, social media. You can find me on Facebook, Marcus Jovel ENT Jenkins, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter at Jovel ENT. And do not forget, October the 6th, I will be performing live at the Jazz House as part of the LFK Spotlight Series.
Social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Gmail, all of my right side to your left side. And we are happy to announce that we are officially relaunching our clothing line.
Yes, sir.
So go on gameballshop.equid.com, get your gear from shirts, fitness gear, hats, all the above. So go to gameshop.equid.com, and all of that, pass it to you.
Find me on Facebook at Luke Hartnett. Find me on Twitter at Luke Hartnett2.
I'm Marcus Young Genius Jenkins.
I'm Michael Riley.
And I'm Luke Hartnett.
Until next time, thank you once again for tuning in to Gameball Cards Kickoff. We'll see you next time.